So do you ever get the stink eye from the security guy at Walmart?
Very rarely, but I know that stink eye when I see it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's terrifying. Well, we're going to find out about somebody who got the stink eye for the right reason.
Okay. We'll also tell you a story of a Florida freak who makes a run for the border, but not to the place you might think.
Now I just want tacos. Also on this podcast, we're going to put the crack into crack pipe.
Oh.
Actually, I got that backwards. We're gonna put the crack pipe. Never mind. You'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. All that and more coming up on this week's episode of the Florida Freak Show.
Hurry, hurry, hurry! Ladies and gents, boys and girls, step right up for the Florida Freak Show.
Welcome back to the Florida Freak Show. I'm Cory O'Donnell.
And I'm Kirsten O'Donnell.
And if you've ever read a Florida news story online or seen a Sunshine State newscast, you know that Florida's greatest export are weird stories about the people who live and play here, and we have a few of those to share, don't we, Kirsten?
We always do.
We always do.
But before we start, there are just a couple of days left for nominations for the 15th Annual Podcast Awards.
Yes.
So please go to podcastawards.com and nominate us in the People's Choice and Comedy categories. The nominations close after July 31st, which means this is the last time we're going to whine at you about this.
Yep, last time.
That's also when we find out if we made the top 10, but we need your nominations to get there. So hashtag shameless plug, podcastawards.com.
And don't worry, we will remind you again at the end of this episode,
you
as we have always been doing. Yeah.
Okay, so enough pandering. Let's get down to business. This week's stories, as always, ripped from the headlines.
Ripped from those headlines.
And I think we can all relate to this one just a little bit because we've all considered fleeing from Florida over the last few months, right?
Yes, indeed.
So this one is from the CBC. So we've gone a little international here. Canadian Broadcasting Company.
All right.
Around 2 a.m. on Monday, someone in a Ford Explorer with Florida license plates blew across the Canada border without stopping at the Niagara Falls border crossing.
Oh.
Now, Niagara Falls, New York police had tried to stop a similar vehicle that had been driving erratically on the U.S. side of the border. Once it crossed into the Great White North, the Explorer drove into downtown Niagara Falls, where it hit a marked police cruiser while trying to evade the police, causing about $7,000 in damage.
Wow.
That's Canadian dollars, I assume. The driver assaulted police once he was being arrested. He was then taken to the hospital where he bit a nurse. Police say that the man had oxycodone and hydrocodone on him. He's been charged with a coterie of offenses.
A coterie.
Including operating a vehicle while impaired, assaulting a police officer, resisting arrest, and of course our favorite, criminal mischief.
Always with criminal mischief. Well, I get excited too crossing into Canada, but this seems a little extreme. Was he worried that the Tim Hortons was going to close down?
Oh, Timbits.
I mean, I really love Timbits too, and I love Tim Hortons, but I'd probably still stop for the border.
Yeah.
It just seems like something I would do.
My thought is, he probably was at the falls. There's all that rushing water.
Oh, yeah.
He probably had to pee really badly and
That'll
was just
do it.
driving super fast to try and find Tim Hortons to use the bathroom.
Right, yeah.
That's my theory.
I think that's a good theory. I mean, because it's like faucet times 1,000, like going past Niagara Falls. But why bite the nurse? I mean, are we sure the bath salts aren't involved here? I mean, that brings out the zombie in all of us.
Right. And Florida and bath salts and biting, it all goes hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, he's trying to evade police and then he hits a police car in the process. So not very good at evading police.
No,
Novice.
But it's Florida. So come on.
Sure. Novice level.
Yeah.
Cost about $7,000 in damage.
Uh-huh.
Again, with the exchange rate, that's like $5,250 US.
That's chump change.
Right? It's a bargain.
Yeah.
Really, it doesn't sound nearly as bad.
Yeah. I mean, this is no like Blues Brothers where like all the cop cars are getting crashed into one another.
Right. Yeah.
Looks like it's just millions of dollars in damage. This is very minor.
This is absolutely minor. So I don't profess to be an expert on drugs.
Okay, that's good.
So I gotta preface this right here. I don't profess to be an expert on drugs, pharmaceutical or non-pharmaceutical variety.
You're not a pharmacist nor a drug dealer.
However, I have been prescribed both oxycodone and hydrocodone in my life.
Look
I've
at
had
you.
Back surgery,
Yeah.
all sorts of nastiness.
Yep.
And this was back in the days where, you could go to the pharmacy and your doctor would prescribe you basically like a coffee can full of Oxy.
Folgers can full of Oxy.
Right. I don't recall it making me want to drive real fast and get hyper. Basically, it just made me want to sleep.
Yeah, it just tolerates the pain so much and manages the pain so much that you just feel so comfortable.
Just so drowsy and
like
comfy.
relaxed. Right.
Not car chasey.
Yeah.
Not so clearly I don't know a whole lot about drugs. I'm sure there's a reason. But at least the way that I'm impacted by these, no.
Yeah. Well, I hear you with that. And maybe it's the Florida heat talking for me, or that hurricane season is starting to ramp up. But Canada sounds like a dream at this time of year.
Oh my God. Canada's beautiful this time of year.
It's the end of July, 1st of August. It's in the perfect part of the world for it to just be like beautiful weather. I couldn't imagine more wanting to get there very quickly, but I might change my mind around October. I want to be back down here.
So I have been in my life in a hurry to get across the Canada border.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, and that's just because I grew up just outside of Detroit.
Yeah.
And from the ages of 19 to 21, Canada's the place you go to get your
gotta
drink
go.
on.
Right. Head on over to Windsor.
Yeah, pretty much every Friday and Saturday night, zip on across the border, but always stopping for Border Patrol.
Yeah.
Always stopping.
I've always been fascinated by this because I never lived that close to, a national
you live
border.
close to the Iowa border.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different crossing the Iowa border than it would be crossing the U.S. border. But I just love the idea of like all of these underage kids storming over into Canada.
It absolutely is.
It is,
back. Or at least when I was of that age, which was a minute ago, it was back to back to back, bumper to bumper, cars of U.S. license plates just trying to cross the border. And then about 2 a.m, bumper to bumper to bumper, trying to get back across the border to the U.S.
The tolerance of those customs and border patrol,
God.
It must have been something to behold. I mean, still would be, but I mean, things have changed a lot since you were a kid and everything like that. So
not a kid, a young adult,
a
young
adult.
lady. A lot of times when we do these stories and we read about these things, I sort of picture them. It's almost like casting the movie in your head, you
of
know?
Course.
So
yeah.
In my mind, first of all, the guy wreaks havoc on the U.S. side of the border, right? And all I can think of is Bud Boomer from... Do you remember the movie Canadian Bacon?
Yes, John Candy.
Yes, John Candy
Bud Boomer.
is Sheriff Bud Boomer, who is sheriff of a town by Niagara Falls in the United States.
That is.
And then, of course, basically declares a one-man war on Canada, which everyone gets behind eventually because, those Canadians.
Yeah, they walk among us.
They do walk among us.
They're
undetected,
undeterred, moving by us on the sidewalks at any moment if they want to.
The population, basically almost the entire population, amassed within like 50 miles of the U.S. border. I mean, come on.
Canadians. Unreal.
Canadians.
The Canucks.
Right? So that's kind of how I picture one side of the border. And then, of course, I picture the other side of the border. It's basically all just Dudley Do-Right chasing this guy.
Yeah. Decked out in their finest Mountie
exactly.
Apparel.
They're red with their big Mountie hats and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
So casting the movie in my head.
I love it. I think it's great. Anything that pits the U.S. versus Canada, I'm all for it. I mean, sure, I said all those lovely, flowery things about Canada earlier, but now the staunch American in me is starting to change my tune a little bit.
I feel like I should start singing like Battle Hymn of the Republic in the background as you. So our next story, and let me just say here, this episode's about to get a little mature. Okay, a little mature.
Okay.
So, send the kids out for a pack of smokes
send
or something.
Yep.
This next story comes from Villages News.
Okay.
An Ocklawaha, Florida woman was arrested last week after reportedly stealing several items from a nearby Walmart.
Oh.
53-year-old Monica Lynn Beach selected several items at the store and then headed to the self-checkout lane. A Walmart loss prevention officer watched her scan some of her lower-priced items, but she didn't scan everything.
Oh.
There were 4 items she didn't scan.
Okay.
Toilet paper, ice cream,
necessity,
personal lubricant,
and
a vibrating egg.
Ooh.
The loss prevention officer stopped her at the door, where Beach claimed she didn't intend to take the merchandise.
Was she vibrating at the time, maybe?
Sheriff's deputies were called, and after being read her rights, Beach admitted that she accidentally, on purpose, failed to scan the 4 items. So she was arrested. She has been arrested for theft twice in the past. This time she was charged with petty theft and released on bond.
Well, I get it. And, believe me, these 4 unscanned items, TP, ice cream, lube, and a vibrating egg, it sounds like the shopping list that every horny teen had when they went to the pharmacy to get prophylactics, for a big night on the town.
Got to buy a few other things.
You got to buy,
just
to disguise it, because that always trips up the pharmacist. It's without fail.
Yeah.
Like you just throw in a couple of things, maybe a comb, maybe some,
a pack of gum.
Some Dapper Dan.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, kids love a good pomade. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I hate when I go to Walmart to just steal one item, and then I end up with an entire shopping cart full of stuff I need to steal, right?
It's impossible to walk around there and I could really use that.
I need
to steal one of those. I need to steal one of those.
It's like potato
I'm not going to make
chips.
2 trips to steal it.
You can't have just one.
Can't do it.
So as I read this story, I thought to myself, okay, vibrating egg. Now, is this like a euphemism that the sheriff's department used? Is this a euphemism is this a euphemism I'm just not aware of? Or is this actually the name of a product?
Yeah.
Like the Ron Popeil vibrating egg, I don't know.
Set it and forget it.
So I thought, okay, well, I'll go to the Walmart website and type in vibrating egg and see what pops up. So first of all, you would be astonished at the number of products offered in the vibrating family on the Walmart website.
Was it one of those things where when you just keep scrolling and eventually you have to be like view all and it's like 5 pages?
Pretty much. Yes. And I mean, Walmart, kind of bills themselves as the wholesome family values place. And, not to say that wholesome family values people don't purchase vibrating eggs.
Who are we to judge?
However, an assortment of shapes, sizes, colors, and yeah.
Well, that's nice to know.
Good to know.
I want to make sure that my vibrating egg matches my shoes or matches my bag. Make sure that I'm color coordinating.
Accessorizing properly. Absolutely. Now, the problem with this is in doing my research, I did not think this through correctly. And because of the marketing magic known as retargeting, now all I'm getting in ads on my internet browser are adult products, things that can aid one in adult activities. Yeah. So good times.
Yeah, that is great. And, the other thing that I was going to say is when you really think long and hard about it, these 4 items, toilet paper, ice cream, personal lubricant, and a vibrating egg, maybe they have something in common. And I just wasn't aware of it. You take a guy like MacGyver, he could probably make a bomb out of this stuff. So could it be that that's the connection? I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
When you read that list of items, toilet paper, ice cream, personal lubricant, and vibrating egg, it kind of sounded like you were doing a cognitive test.
It did kind of, right? That's kind of
like,
in the news
what
right now.
What are the 4 products? What are the
Toilet
4
paper.
products that were stolen? Say them in order.
Come back to it 5 questions later. Now, what were those questions again? What was the third one?
That's right. Personal lubricant.
Yeah.
So neither of us have Alzheimer's. That's what we just learned right here.
Good to know. We are safer now.
We're in the clear for now.
In the clear. Wonderful.
So, as you know, I like to occasionally pepper this podcast with a little bit of Florida knowledge.
Yeah, because we're all learning. If you're not learning something every day, what are you doing?
I don't know. What are you doing?
Who am I to judge, but what are you doing?
What are you doing? Yes. So I thought perhaps I would pepper this with some knowledge about Ocklawaha.
Ocklawaha. Let's hear a little bit more. Ocklawaha.
Ocklawaha, which is near Ocala and the Villages, basically translates to muddy. So it sounds like a lovely vacation spot.
It does. The name of my town means crap hole. That's no good.
I have not been to Ocklawaha. It might be lovely, but muddy?
Yeah,
really? That's the best you got?
Rough.
So if I say the phrase Bloody Wednesday to you, does that mean anything?
Nothing. No. I mean, I just think of U2's Bloody Sunday.
Lesser known U2 song. So what if I say Ma Barker?
Ma Barker, yes. Crime Family.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes, exactly.
Big shootout?
Yes. Ocklawaha in 1935 was the site of Bloody Wednesday, which was the FBI raid and shootout on Ma Barker's hideout in Ocklawaha. 500 shots fired by the FBI, 250 fired back in return.
That's crazy.
Ma did not make it, nor did most of the family.
Well,
not surprisingly.
500 shots into the building.
Yeah, you're not going to do so well.
Not going to walk out of there too often.
The building still exists with the bullet holes.
Oh, good.
And I don't know if they still do it, but at one time the local Chamber of Commerce actually did a reenactment of the shootout.
That's incredible.
Which I think is awesome. I mean, I'm not one for like Civil War reenactments. That sounds super boring. However, I would love to see that reenactment or be part of it.
I mean, because I always think of like gunfight at the OK Corral, but that's also another period thing. And Ma Barker would be as well, but it would because it's so close in history, it would still just be like Tommy guns like blowing it up and everything like that. I just hope that they get the right house whenever they do that, because that could be a rude awakening for anyone in their home. It's like
we're surrounded by FBI agents. What's going on? Yeah, so let's hope
Must be Bloody Wednesday. They picked the wrong house right up the street.
Yeah, I hate when that happens.
That's the worst.
All right, so our next story comes to us from tcpalm.com. St. Lucie County Sheriff's deputies were called to an intersection west of Fort Pierce recently after a report of a possible impaired driver.
Uh-oh.
There they found a woman asleep on her steering wheel with her foot on the brake and the car in drive. Apparently, she'd been there about 20 minutes.
Oh, they just got there.
Yeah. So deputies woke the woman up. She said she was tired and hadn't been getting much sleep.
Okay.
They had her do some field sobriety exercises and then arrested her on DUI.
As you do.
They also found what looked like drug paraphernalia in her car. So, all in a day's work, right?
Sure.
So when she was taken to the jail, they x-rayed her, as you do, and spotted something unusual, a foreign object in, we'll say, her undercarriage. Told you it was going to get a little blue today.
Yeah, here we go.
A strip search determined that it was a charred cylindrical pipe, or more specifically, a crack pipe, that she'd had tucked away in her tuckus.
Hey now.
Deputies asked her why. I love that I have my own Ed McMahon.
Well, I mean,
you are correct, sir.
If you bring up the word tuchus, I mean, I just have to act like Ed McMahon, right?
So deputies asked her why she didn't tell them about the pipe when they'd asked her and she'd had the chance, and she said that she simply forgot about it.
Well, that happens.
So on top of her DUI charge, the woman was arrested on possession of drug paraphernalia and also for introducing contraband into a detention facility.
Well, if I had a nickel for every time I misplaced my crack pipe up my butt, I could probably buy a better story to tell these officers that would work a little bit better.
But, all these years I thought crack pipe was called a crack pipe because you smoked crack in the crack pipe, but it's actually because you keep your pipe in your crack.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, I guess why would you put it in your pocket? I mean, I don't know. And it's easier to forget, I guess, when it's placed up the old poop chute. But I don't know. Like, I'm also wondering now, because we're talking about going through field sobriety exercises, could that misplaced crack pipe have affected her field sobriety test? Maybe that's what got her into this whole mess to begin with. You're just sort of walking a little off kilter,
Yeah, good point. Definitely, I would say having that tucked away up there could add to the degree of difficulty.
Yeah, imagine the skill that would be involved in trying to walk a straight line, stand on one foot, all those other tests that I've never done.
So, I mean, it can't be comfortable.
No.
And I'm sorry, but forgetting that it's there. I mean,
it's a convenient excuse.
It is a convenient excuse because although I am not saying it is the same thing at all, But I have bad allergies.
Uh-huh.
And there are times where my nose runs and runs and runs
I know
and
what
runs.
you're going with this.
And Cory has been the
privy to
many incidents where basically I just take a tissue and jam it up each nostril and walk around the house like that.
You're like a tissued Wilford Brimley.
Goose gossage,
Goose
maybe.
gossage, yeah. Yeah, just handlebar tissues hanging out of the
walking
nose.
around like a Kleenex walrus.
But it makes sense because when you're in those dire straits and your nose feels like it's just a faucet, I mean, instead of just blowing your nose every 2 seconds, just shove it up there and have it just be a stopgap.
Cork it. Exactly. Now, here's the thing. A tissue, I would assume, is substantially softer than a crack pipe.
Yeah. Much more comfortable, I would think.
I would imagine that perhaps your nostril is not as sensitive as your back door is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't ever forget that there's a tissue jammed up my nose.
Yeah.
But I never forget that it's there.
I'm not
I am always aware that it's there.
Not walking out the door and like checking to make sure
I'm not
I've
going
got
to a
everything.
job interview.
Oh my
with
gosh, I can't believe I still have these massive tissues hanging from my nose.
Exactly. So yeah, forgetting.
That would have cost me the job for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is it with Florida and people cashing out behind the wheel?
I don't know, but there are a lot of stories about that.
There are. Do you remember actually the manager of your favorite baseball team?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Tony La Russa when he had that like one spring training.
Probably about 10 years ago at least?
Oh, at least 10 years ago.
He
was on the downhill slide of his career.
Yeah.
A bit embarrassing for the guy, but
sure, of course.
It's understandable.
Of course. I had a few too many and took a nap at a stoplight.
And honestly,
and got caught.
Yeah, I would just prefer that it's like, hey, if you feel like you're not right to drive, I would actually prefer that you just pull off on the side of the road.
Yeah, but I don't think he was pulled off on the side of the road. I think it was just at the stoplight.
I think you're right, and it's either way, it's not safe.
No,
so,
not safe at all.
Yeah, kids out there, I'm not condoning that you do that.
And this is another example of me not being an expert on drugs, because I always thought that crack made you like hyper alert and excitable and that sort of thing, and not I need a nap, not nap time girl.
Right.
I honestly expect this type of behavior, the pulling over and taking a nap, out of the Oxy guy in Niagara Falls from Florida.
Yeah.
And the car chase to be the
Juxtapose
crack
the
lady.
two, yeah.
So clearly I don't know enough about this.
Yeah. The really bad thing is, had she just forgotten her keys up her butt, then this whole thing could have been avoided from the get-go.
She wouldn't have been able to get in the car.
That's right. Where did those keys go? Up my butt. Couldn't get in the car. That's the way to do it.
So should she keep her crack pipe in a bowl next to the front door with her keys?
I think I would. Yeah, it's always good to have. I like to have a place for me to keep my wallet, my keys, and my phone if I don't have it on me. Crack pipe should really go right in the same place. Yeah. Just be part of the valet.
I like it. It's little home storage tips from Cory O'Donnell.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so moving on to our final story, and this is one of those just when you think you've seen everything, which I feel like we say in Florida all the time. Last week, Fort Lauderdale police received a Signal 69 call, which usually means an escaped dog or cat on the run, but this is Florida after all.
After all.
The call ended with a kangaroo peacefully surrendering to cops and being driven away in the back of a patrol car.
Okay.
The kangaroo, named Jack, escaped when his owner took out the recycling before work and then forgot to shut the gate all the way.
Oh, boy.
Jack was first spotted hopping down North Andrews Avenue around 9:30 in the morning, and about half a dozen witnesses called 911 to report the sight. Jack's owner, Anthony Macias, found out that his kangaroo was on the lam while he was at work, and he called the cops to say, hey, that's Maru.
Yep.
Jack apparently lives a fairly domesticated life in Fort Lauderdale. His best friend is a corgi named Max.
Oh, that's
and
wonderful.
he even has his own little shed in Macias' backyard.
Nice.
So Macias has been told that Jack will not be returned to him because Fort Lauderdale isn't zoned for kangaroos.
Oh, that's too bad.
So for now, Jack has been turned over to Florida Fish and Wildlife.
Okay.
Macias is hoping he'll get Jack back. He says he has friends in Palm Beach County who are permitted to care for Jack.
Oh, that's nice. Well, I hope this all ends happily for Anthony and Kangaroo Jack, as I'm going to call him probably from now on. But any Kangaroo on the Run story usually ends with a boxing marsupial, right? That's the way that I've always seen it. Like, I'm thinking back to those Looney Tunes where it's always the boxing kangaroo.
I believe this was a peaceful surrender.
Yeah.
I believe no punches
nice
were
about
thrown.
that it ended very peacefully.
Jack's apparently a very docile kangaroo.
Yeah. Hey, do you think that if Jack can't be returned, do you think maybe you and I can adopt Jack? Because he sounds really sweet.
Are we zoned for kangaroos? I don't know if we are.
All right, we'll have to check seeing if Cape Coral is zoned for kangaroos. My guess is no, but
you never know. You never know. We've got some wacky laws here.
Yeah, and it sounds like Palm Beach County is okay. So.
Right? So a little revisionist history here. So for, 50 years or so, people have had Burmese pythons as pets in Florida, which they've just let go. Mm-hmm. And now we have this massive python problem in the Everglades. They're basically destroying the ecosystem.
Yeah.
What would have happened if 50 years ago people just started collecting kangaroos? And then when the kangaroos got too big to care for, they just set them free.
It would be a lot more adorable, that's for sure.
Right? The Everglades
I don't
would
want
be
anything to do
place.
with a python, but a kangaroo, I'd be like, oh, even if it's full grown and maybe a little scary, like I don't want to get kicked by it or anything like that, but it's way better than me dealing with a python.
Yeah, but just imagine what the Everglades would be like if it were just overrun with kangaroos instead of overrun with pythons.
It's definitely an invasive species that I can get behind.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't even know if they would consider it an invasive species because I don't know if it ruins the rest, or
I would imagine it would eat a lot of the grass maybe, and probably it would screw things up in some way. It always does.
It's not made for this ecosystem, which I guess would be the standard definition.
Right.
Still, they're so darn cute.
They really are. So, speaking of exotic pets and us adopting a kangaroo, which we may or may not be zoned
I'm
for.
getting the shed ready as we speak.
I did find out there are a lot of exotic pets that are legal in Florida.
Oh.
Like in a lot of states, there's, you can get a lot of animals permitted. You might have to get a special permit, but legal in Florida. I mean, some of the more common ones, I know someone here who used to have a pet skunk.
Oh,
so
right.
Skunks.
Yeah.
Squirrels, raccoons. I mean, I feel like those are kind of, I don't want to say standard exotic pets.
I like
but they're
the skunk
like
as
least,
a criminal deterrent.
They're the least exotic.
Yeah.
They're the
Nobody
least
wants
exotic.
to stink badly.
No, not at all. Some other things, bats.
Oh.
You can have a bat as a pet.
I'm a little freaked out by bats, just personally.
I like bats.
Yeah.
They're like cute little mice with wings. Foxes.
Foxes.
You can have foxes. All sorts of monkeys.
Oh, nice.
But I think I found the ideal exotic species that is allowed in Florida for us.
Oh, what's that?
Sloth.
Oh, a sloth, of course.
Wouldn't a sloth be awesome?
It'd be great. I would just like to walk around and have it like hanging off of me all day long.
Like some sort of a stole?
Yeah. There you go, like a stole. Well, and maybe not all day long, but it would still be fun. A lot of times when you're playing with your pet, it's like you're on the ground with them and playing with them or whatever. Or you might get to pick them up for a little while, but a sloth would just want to hang off of you.
Yeah.
And that'd be really great.
Two great things about having a sloth as a pet.
Yeah.
The first one, sloths only poop like once a week.
Oh, that's a win right there.
Right? Because the worst thing about having any pet is the poop.
Yes.
It's the litter box, or it's having to run home on your lunch break to take your dog out. You don't have to worry about that with a sloth.
I don't want to deal with my own poop. That's why I go in a toilet, because it's just, talk about set it and forget it.
The other great thing about a sloth, if you take your recycling out and you leave the gate open, your sloth's not going anywhere fast. No. You're not calling 911. You don't have a Keystone Cops operation trying to chase down your sloth through the streets of Fort Lauderdale.
No, they're moving nice and slow. No problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the other thing about this, and you already said you're going to call him Kangaroo Jack, of course. The name of the kangaroo, Jack.
Yeah.
I can only assume is named after the movie Kangaroo Jack.
It just flows right off the tongue. I haven't even seen the movie, and it just lives in my head. Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah. So you've never seen Kangaroo
Never
Jack?
seen it.
Wow.
Nope.
I can't imagine that you wouldn't rush out to see a movie that has a whopping 8% on Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter.
That's no good. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
I probably won't be rushing to see it anytime soon.
It's no Shawshank Redemption.
Ah, that's too bad.
But it's also, it's no Battlefield Earth either.
Oh,
I mean,
well, that's good.
8% means there was a critic somewhere that liked it.
Hey, somebody
Maybe
liked
two.
it. Yeah. I mean,
Maybe.
so who's in Kangaroo Jack? Because maybe that'll help me, like, be all about
So the fat kid from Stand By Me.
yes, Jerry O'Connell.
Jerry O'Connell.
Yep.
Not fat anymore. Married to Rebecca Romaine, which I just found out.
But he seems like a lovely guy.
He does.
Yeah.
Joe's Apartment. Come on. Another formerly large, not large anymore person, Anthony Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
Back when he was big.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. Like, he's on Blackish, and
He's great.
had some really great shows.
Me, Myself, and Irene.
Me, Myself, and Irene, he was so good
He was
on.
great in
I
that.
love that movie.
Also, Christopher Walken.
What? Christopher Walken is in this?
Christopher Walken is in Kangaroo Jack.
Well, how did it only get 8%? I mean, Christopher Walken alone is worth like 15%.
Right?
Just by him, like, showing up in the movie.
Yeah, it's like the Walken handicap.
He could have made like a cameo, and it's like, bump it, give the Walken bump.
Just walked through and said something awkward and maybe
I'm
tap
Christopher
dance.
Walken. I'm walking through, and this whole thing's going to be bumped. Yeah.
That did not sound like Christopher Walken at
Kangaroo
all.
Jack.
You're out of
Some
shape.
people have a great Walken impression. I just like making fun of it. It's great. Yeah.
So Christopher Walken actually earned a nomination.
Oh, really?
Yes, for Worst Supporting Actor at the Razzies.
Oh, Razzies, of course. I should have known.
Also, Anthony Anderson nominated in the same category.
Boom. That's like the Silence of the Lamb of the Razzies. All kinds of, or the, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest of the Razzies.
More like Titanic.
Oh,
Two people from the same. Oh, but that wasn't the same category.
No,
Oh, whatever.
yeah.
We could try and figure this out all day.
but it was a big deal. And big deal for the Razzies. Yeah.
It did win one award.
Oh,
And I love this.
okay.
It won the Kids' Choice Blimp Award.
Oh, the Blimp Award.
It won a Blimp Award for favorite fart in a movie.
I never think about tracking my favorite farts in movies, but especially as I'm at the movie theater, it's like, well, there's one. That's a really good one. I'll have to make a mark of that one. But
Oh, you could start a website kind of like MrSkin.com,
Yeah.
only instead
like
of
time coding the
chronicling-
farts.
Right, time coding every movie's fart.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna like take off or anything.
You don't
but
think
yeah.
so? Farts don't have that same cachet
Yeah.
as naked starlets. Is that what you're saying?
We'll table it for now. Maybe it'll be something that we discuss later on.
There you go. We'll
Yeah.
workshop it a little
Workshop
bit.
it, see if we can like punch it up a little bit.
So yeah, that's the kangaroo story.
Kangaroo story. So what did we learn this week? I'll tell you what I learned.
Please.
I learned that Florida plates are a big red flag at border crossings, or should I say a checkered flag?
Oh, all right. Well, I learned that you can get more than one kind of egg at Walmart.
Yes, you can, indeed. I also learned that forgetting where you left your crack pipe is never a good thing.
So true.
Yeah.
And I learned that you can name your pet kangaroo after a movie, but that doesn't guarantee a happy ending.
No,
to the
8% on
story.
Rotten Tomatoes. That is not good.
So those were our freakiest Florida finds for the week. But as always, you can find plenty of other wacky news stories from across the Sunshine State on our Facebook and Twitter pages.
Yeah, remember to follow us, like us, and share us. That's at FLA Freak Show. And if you see a Florida story we missed, feel free to share it with us.
Also, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And tell a friend. It really helps us out. Did I sound pathetic enough? Tell a friend.
Please tell a friend.
It helps us out and helps us find more freaky fans like all of you.
And finally, now that the episode is nearly over, let's please take a quick trip to podcastawards.com. Submit your vote for the Florida Freak Show in the People's Choice and the comedy categories by July 31st. That's only a few days away, so if it's the weekend, it's too late. All you need to do is register, then pick Florida Freak Show from the drop-down menu in those two categories.
Do it.
Until next time, I'm Cory O'Donnell.
And I'm Kirsten O'Donnell. We'll be back next week. And until then, let your Florida freak flag fly.
Goodbye.